In this video, I did a natal chart compatibility video, which you see two charts. So this is really like a part of that. This is almost like part B to that. Because, and it's kind of funny, but everything happens for a reason. I'm going to tell you why. Because I was telling the gentleman on the left how important Sagittarius is to his chart. And when I got to the chart on the right, which is female, I just saw the retrogrades. Keep in mind, I had been out here for hours, so it is what it is. So I said, we'll do those retrogrades pretty much last. And so I went past them. And that video is about close to 4 hours. I don't know if it made total 4 hours or not. So here's the final part. But now you see Sagittarius. So that's why I say people come in your life sometimes to bring you somewhere. And sometimes, like when you see people married, like look how many times Jennifer Lopez was married. She would never stay in no marriage, ever. And then she made that movie where she is fighting that psychopath husband, and she had to learn how to fight and stuff. That was a real good movie because life is like that. Because this is what this is. He's got to learn to get over the hump because he has a situation with females as far as you gotta learn how to connect. And it ain't gonna be easy, but it's not supposed to be easy. So I believe that's what this person is kind of destined to do. So that's why it wasn't meant to go the way it went. For whatever reason. Because somebody might say, well, let me listen to that one first because it's shorter in length. Well, that's probably because they need to hear it first. Or vice versa. Maybe they'll say, okay, well, that is like a part B. Let me listen to the longer version first. Either way, it'll stick better. Even if you hear it last, it'll be the last thing you heard. But God's always in control. So now, we already talked about the chart on the right because that's where we were at. We already talked about Libra in the third house. We already told you what this woman sees in a relationship, what would make her get serious about a relationship with Juno. So we don't have to go over that again. Soon as you go to the fourth house, there you have it. Scorpio, Pluto, just like his 10th house is Scorpio, Pluto. And you see number 17 with Palace again. So she's dealing with a lot of karma as well. Karma is always at number 17, but I forgot to do what's the tarot card for number 17. Yeah, because he didn't have any 17s on his chart. Not degrees. But she did. With her moon. And ironically, that's in her 10th house. And we were talking about his 10th house. So it's karmic. It's like a karmic connection almost. But she's going to help him when he's two, whatever they do. Because like I was saying about J-Lo, look how long it took. But what y'all don't understand is now she's with A-Rod. But if you look at the kids, if you look at his kids and her kids, they almost look alike. That's how you know they was meant. Like this is meant to be. This is some soul stuff. And to me, that's the happiest she's ever looked, is with him. and the kids get along and everything. Like, you wouldn't even be able to tell that that's not like, you would think they were her kids, and his kids is his kids. So that's why I said I just did a video on my other channel, and they said give hope. And what they showed me was the most beautifulest thing in the world was Myra and the wedding dress, because that was always what I wanted, like in the 1980s. That's what I wanted. That was icing on the cake. And she came back out of nowhere. And as I gave that video, I was saying keep the hope and don't stop believing, all that corny stuff from the 1980s music. But then I went to somebody else's channel, just happened to go there, and that person was saying the same thing, that's what the universe is saying. And right now, if you notice, you see a lot of people going to jail that have been getting away with crimes for years. Now, Bow Wow has been beating females up for a long time. In fact, on 106 in Park a long time ago, it was an all-girl group, and he had beat up one of those girls. And she was trying to expose him, but she knew she couldn't because he was famous and they weren't. And her girlfriends were like telling her to don't say anything. But she could tell at 106 in Park she was pulling Bow Wow's card because he had beat her up. So they finally arrested him. So that's why you see in the last 3 to 4 years, a lot of people that have done bad stuff to females, even years ago, they're all getting caught up now. It's all coming out. So that's why it says don't stop believing, because karma is this. If you have been doing the right thing, just like you see the wheel card, the wheel tarot card, it has to go around. It's bad times and good times. And if it doesn't go around, then there's something wrong. And that's why I try to teach people. When I say walk in spirit on my other channel, you have to know your universal rights. See, too many people are worrying only about third dimensional. Third dimensional is not really giving you shit. And third dimensional, if you're not careful, it will take you into hell, whether you believe it or not. See, you're in the physical world, but you're supposed to be spiritual. And that's why they gave you the Messiah as your example. Well, I don't believe in the Messiah. Well, then they gave you Allah. They gave you Buddha. But they gave you somebody to show you spirituality. And as corrupt as, say, the world is, even on your TV shows, they give you people that show you that there's a spirit world out there that you better be familiar with. And you don't just come to astrology to ask about your love life and your career. You got to come to astrology to find out what is your purpose. That's a true north node. And the more you understand this stuff, that's how you start believing. Again, if you don't believe, then you don't have to worry about becoming a gangster. Because as you see, a lot of gangsters are going to jail now. You don't have to beat women up. Because finally, Bow Wow got caught. Now what happens is once you get caught, more people start coming forward. Like with R. Kelly or whoever else. Weinstein, you name it. Once a couple of victims come forward, the other ones start coming forward. So that's the wheel of fortune. It might miss you. Then all of a sudden, it's time for you to pay some karmic debts. But when you have gotten your shit together, it ain't going to be no karmic debt to pay. And the universe owes you love if you haven't had it. But you got to believe. Because the moment you stop believing, that's your power. See, that negative energy doesn't want you to believe. And that's why you try to do it on your own. I'm going to be a pimp. I'm gonna be a gangster. I'm gonna get it. What did Big E say? The ski mask way. I'm gonna get it the ski mask way. But that gangster lifestyle led to him getting shot up. So you gotta trust the universe. And that was a message of Myra. And then she showed up again as her real, who she really is, not the character Myra. But then she showed up again when I was doing some information on Merlin Santana. And his only mistake really was not even really a mistake, but he just approached the wrong person. And that cost him his life. And he died like Biggie and Tupac. And the funny thing was, he was supposed to play Tupac in a movie. And that's when he died. Same way. Gangsta execution. So, it's all about trusting the universe, believing, and not going dark. But you do have to be a man if you expect a woman to be able to work with you or follow you, however you want to put it. Because if you're caught up in your emotions, the moment she challenges you, you're going to want to tap out. You're going to fold. You're going to go, all women are bitches. All she do is cause drama. All she do is complain. Damn, I just bought her some flowers and she dissed me. So you tapping out. And that's when you have to move forward. Not emotionally. Not even on no payback shit. Because then you're gonna put yourself in a new cycle. Oh, she did this to me, I'm gonna do this to her. So now you gonna get some more badass karma. Because now you put yourself in a cycle. Like lately in New Jersey, it's been a lot of people been in standoffs with the police. But if you know how that really works nowadays, how it really supposed to work, they try to give that person a chance to surrender. Like instead of showing all these guns and all that stuff, then sometimes there was a movie called Negotiator. And sometimes they tell the cops to fall back. You know, secure the perimeter, but then fall back. And they'll send a negotiator to like talk to this person. Because the more they see guns, the more they're going to want to shoot. They're going to become more paranoid. And a situation that could have ended maybe with the person surrendering, now it's going to be a shootout and all kind of crazy stuff. Now we're going back to the Wild Wild West. So sometimes they just secure the perimeter so the person can't get away, and they send the person in to negotiate, to try to talk the person to just to surrender. And they try that first. And if it doesn't work, then they go heavy. You gotta remember, you're here for a reason. Even these people that are running away from their natal charts, you're still gonna be judged by it. That's your blueprint from God. It can't be no cheap ass natal chart because you're too cheap. Which this is inexpensive anyway. It can't be done by some idiot that don't know what they talking about. Because then you don't even know what the message is. So you can keep on thinking third dimensional and playing games, but this is what you're going to be judged by. It's your natal chart. It's your blueprint. It's your Bible from God to you. Now, I talked about the true north node. Your true north node should have the aura. If your true north node does not have the aura, that would indicate you have a problem in that house that the true north node is in. You're going to have problems. Fortunately, both of these people have auras next to the true north nodes. So now, we're in the fourth house. Her fourth house, the chart on the right, Scorpio. So you already know you're dealing with some soul stuff, eighth house stuff, a lot of watery because that's Cancer and Scorpio. Cancer rules the fourth house. Now you have to be careful because when you're dealing with Cancer and Scorpio, you could actually be dealing with a closer connection to the spirit realm. And if you're not careful, it could even lead to possession of evil spirits. So you just have to be careful with that realm, especially if you're a Cancer. Like my true north node is Cancer, and then I got a whole Scorpio thing going on. So I know what I'm talking about. But even if I didn't know, I mean, I've experienced it personally. But even when I studied it. So you have to be very careful when you're dealing with the other side. And that's why I try to teach people what it means to walk in the spirit. See, because when David said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. So if you ever read the book of Psalms, David was crying out because he was going through all the supernatural stuff, supernatural attacks. In Psalms chapter 119, he says that princesses persecuted him. And he's talking about demonic princesses, principalities. In 2 Corinthians 12, you hear Paul talking about the same thing, being buffeted by a messenger of Satan. Not to scare anybody, but you have to learn these things even when you learn how to walk in the spirit. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. So God is always with you, but it's going to be what you choose to focus on. And in Matthew chapter 4, the Holy Spirit took Jesus to be tempted of the devil. So these are all facts. You might see it in your lifetime, you may not. But if I see Scorpio in the fourth house, I have to make that known. Because some people they go with stuff and they don't talk about it. But when you learn how to walk in the spirit, no matter where you're at, no matter what's going on in your life, you know to have that connection with the true spirit, which is God. And if you have that connection with the true spirit, there's nothing nobody else can do. And see, the evil spirit plays mind games. Try to make you scared, try to make you believe a whole bunch of bullshit. Like I've seen it. A doctor say, oh, you got cancer. Now you got two choices. You can go, oh, I got cancer because the doctor said I got cancer. Or them old time Christians, them church people, they be like, I rebuke. They might not say it to the doctor, but they damn sure say it to that evil spirit behind that doctor. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, because that's what they believe in. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. By his stripes I am healed. So that person chose to go to spiritual warfare. And I've seen people get healed from cancer. And even Bobby Hemmett had to admit. He said, you know, these Christians, they all get together and pray. And all of a sudden, something they pray for happened. But Bobby ain't believing Jesus, but he darn sure believed that them Christians got that miracle. But he just said it wasn't no Jesus. They did it with their own power. But if they did it with their own power, they wouldn't have had to say Jesus. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe. I just been doing this a long time. And the faster you stop letting third dimensional so-called reality bully you around and push you around, the faster you're going to start tapping back into your real power that you see on these natal charts. That's the power of the universe. The kind of stuff Earth, Wind, and Fire used to sing about. So he got Aries in his fourth house, and that could be a lot of drama of aggression. And then with Scorpio, you got all kind of stuff, possible power struggles, all kind of stuff. So I will be sending him the free report again. Make sure you read over that 8th house. That 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. So her 4th house is also her 8th house. And then when you go to her 8th house, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Pisces. Because she's highly psychic, highly intuitive. Yup, and Pisces is his true north node, it looks like. Let me make sure. Yup. Pisces is his true north node. So in that sense, he could be kind of like a family to her as well. So we were supposed to be looking at that number 17. Give me a moment. Okay, the number 17. Okay, now, isn't that beautiful? Number 17 is a star tarot card. Now, guess what? The star tarot card is Aquarius. And that's him. That's his sun sign, Aquarius. And I just got finished saying he would be like a family to her. But it's still karmic. It's a karmic relationship. And that's why sometimes, like I said, when you really understand this, you may see your twin flame in this lifetime, but y'all don't really connect. Or y'all do connect, but then y'all go into separation. It might be a soulmate or somebody that you really connect with. And no matter what it seems like, God is always in control. Even if it don't seem that way. That's why I said I've learned that. Sometimes I just chill. Because what the tendency is you're going to try to make it happen. And when you try to make it happen, all you do is make mistakes. Oh yeah. Now Palace, that little diamond shape, that does work with soulmate too. Like when you see Palace on your chart, it could either mean your soulmate or your twin soul, your twin flame. But this is a person who's going to help you in that area, in that particular house, in that particular area. Now his palace is at 0 degrees, probably his third house. And that's also his true north node. And I already told you that's both Pisces. And I already told you that's her Pisces. Because we already learned that she's not really interested. She's not going to be interested in a real relationship unless the dude is really like a spiritual teacher or something like that, inspirational teacher. We already covered that on the other video. This is really like a part B. We covered that in part A. So that he has to be like a star to her, like an inspiration to her. That's why I say he's really got to have, because if he got a 9 to 5 or whatever, that's not really gonna cut it with her. She needs a teacher. That's why people get mad because I keep saying nature boy, but I'm a different dude. I don't put people down. Like people look at one thing somebody did or two or whatever, and not everything, and they can't use their mind to get past that. I'm not saying you will follow everything the man said, because the man has done and said some weird ass shit. But as far as separating from this matrix and all that, he's right. Getting the hell away from that. I know a whole lot of people say, hey, if you live in the city, get out the city. But so that's nothing new. And when he can believe when you can believe what you believe so much, you just walk out and people following you and all kind of, you gotta respect that. I don't give a fuck. I respect that. That doesn't mean I gotta agree with everything the man say. But there's a whole lot of people that just walked away from the corporate world, walked away. A lot of people put their trust in God and just walked away. So she's looking for an inspirational leader. So for her, it's a turnoff if you don't have that. If you don't have them type of goals and know where you're going, that would turn her off. And that's why her Juno is not in the 7th house. Her Juno at 2 degrees stepped over to the unknown. The 8th house you can call the unknown. That's at Scorpio. And that's what you see here. So it's a karmic relationship, and she's looking for that soulmate or that twin soul that's going to be her star, her inspiration. Because that's the only thing that's going to keep her in a relationship. And again, I'm going to say it again. You already see Libra, but it don't have to be Libra. But somebody could be with you, but that don't mean they really with you. And especially women is like that. Some men can be like that too. But you think because she's physically with you, or she holding your hand, that she's really with you, and she's not. And that's why I say, honestly, I've been on this planet a long time, and I really believe that's probably one of the most ultimate tests on this planet, is to make sure you with a female, you're both on the same page, and you're both united. Because that shit is not easy. Okay, so the number 7, that's the Chariot card. And the Chariot card is Cancer. Now, a lot of times when I have time, I listen to different readings on YouTube. That Chariot card always means like something's coming. I had one female, she said, listen, before I do another reading, I'm going to get some sage and I'm going to have to clear Cancer out. She said, because Cancer keeps showing up in all my readings. But like a lot of times, like if you got a soulmate or a twin flame, a twin soul, when that person's trying to come into your life or come into your consciousness and you're doing readings, you'll keep seeing like the Chariot card if you're doing tarot cards, or you'll keep seeing like in the Archangel cards whatever card corresponds with the moon or Cancer. Because that's that person's higher self, letting you know they're trying to get with you. Now, unfortunately, she got that Pluto retrograde. Primarily, when you see Pluto retrograde on your chart, something has to be lost to push that person forward. Now, this is in the family sector, but remember, your fourth house is teenage to adult education, land, property, or real estate, family or ancestors, your health or your heart, vehicle or transportation. So someone or something in that area would have to be lost in order for her to push forward with that. I'm going to just call it Cancer energy because it says number 7. And before on his chart, see, look where his Cancer is. His Cancer is in the 7th house, relationship. And he had an experience with a Cancer before. I forget what it was. Because I forget what his twin is. I forget her sign. And then he had an experience with a Cancer, but he wasn't that interested in her. And then he had an experience with a Leo, which as you can see is his soulmate, that vertex. But even that vertex at 14, I could have told you that's the gates of hell. That's going to be fiery anyway. And he was very, very fiery about her. But then whenever the breakup come, especially when the breakup come real quick, that kind of burn you. And that's why I say, have your natal chart so you have an idea. Some people say, well, I'd rather just go through it. And maybe you do. But sometimes, if you know in advance, you handle things a little bit differently. Because maybe if you rush into stuff, you help it end quicker. But at the same time, it may end anyway. Because a lot of soulmate relationships don't really last. Like I said with Jay Leno, with J-Lo, she bounced all over the place. She with white boys, black boys. Now she's with somebody Spanish speaking like herself. She was with that dude. He don't play though. Like when she got with that dude, I knew what was up. Was that Julio and Glee? That motherfucker, he gangster every sense of the word. Give me one moment. I just wanted to. It said Jay Leno because I called her J Lo. I did it. See, I keep saying J Lo, so I put in J. I said Jay Leno, but I meant to say J Lo, and it said J Lo to become an Uber driver. That shit funny because that has a synchronicity to what we talking about. Both of these videos. That shit was funny because everybody know that Jay Leno got a lot of cars, and he can work on cars too. He could fix cars. He build them up. He rebuild them. So I'm trying to get that dude's name. Excuse me. Give me a little bit more. I don't know if they're going to talk about her marriages. So they really just talking about her career. They ain't talking about her marriages and stuff. I finally said Merry Christmas. So there he goes. Now that is that him? Nah, that ain't him. They talking about Sean Puffy Combs, Mark Anthony, Affleck. They saying some shit about criminal court on charges of conspiracy, attempted grand larceny, possession of stolen property. Damn. Okay, because somebody tried to extort them. I didn't know about that. More money, more problems. But they didn't even talk about the other guy she is married to. Some of my personal life. Shit, they ain't even mention this dude. Because when she got with him, I knew. Because she was always going from man to man. When she got with that dude, I said she won't be going nowhere with him because that motherfucker straight up gangster. Like out of everybody she messed with, that was the one motherfucker you don't play. I knew that shit. And she was with him for a long ass time. And then she finally got away from him. But if you notice, she's not even mentioning him on her Wikipedia. That's how much she wanted to get away from him. And once they broke up, he was the one that told the world. He said she into demonism. He was like she worshiped the devil. Like he told the whole world what she really about and shit. But he's real famous. I just forget his name. He was famous long before her. All right. The number 7 is associated with the Greek god Apollo. He drove the chariot of the sun across the sky every day. The number 7 can represent also spiritual zealotry. In other words, that transformation, see, she's with it. She's about that. You can see that on the chart. She's about that. But with her, like that dude really got to be about something. That's why I say if you got a job, but it's just pushing some carts or a Uber driver, or that's not really going to, she wants you to be like a leader. And it could be just on the internet. It could start off on the internet, but you got to have something that she feels like she's a part of. That's what her Pluto retrograde at 7 degrees is saying. And I already told him on his chart. See, his Pluto is with Scorpio too, but he got 15 degrees. But you can't be bound. See, 15 degrees is the devil card. Capricorn, the goat. These are two people that have become so bound to material shit that they're not doing nothing spiritual. They used to be the number 6 card, the lover's card, but they become bound. So that's something he got to be careful of because it's on his chart. That's like I said, when you see a TV evangelizer, they start off First, they got a ministry coming out of his mama's house. All right, mama wants him to get the fuck up out of there. So then they start getting members and getting some support. So now they get a little building or a little something. A little diner or something. On Sunday, y'all can go to the back of the diner. Just don't be too loud. Or in the bowling alley somewhere. So then they get a little bit more support. And they finally get some type of, maybe a building or something. Then that grow a little bit. Then they finally say, you know what, the Lord done blessed us. We finally got enough. We're going to get a little church. We're going to build a church or buy a church. And they go from all these humble beginnings to like a super mega church. And like I heard one dude say it. He said, we owe so much money. He said every day, every week, it was bills after bills after bills. The weeks turned into months. Like he said, the days turned into weeks. The weeks turns into months. The months turns into years. That we owed all these people all this money. He said, then all of a sudden, the Lord blessed us. He said, all our debt is paid. And he said, I used to have to pay to be on radio and TV. He said, now they paying me. Because he's got one of the biggest mega churches in the world. Now, why am I saying all that? Because his house over here to the left, they're warning him against 15 degrees Pluto. Because what they're saying is, listen, you got all this mystical power, all this spiritual power, but don't let it bind you. And she's letting you know, her Pluto is saying, I'm going to shake up your life to make you more number 7, which is more spiritual. Seven comes from 3, the number of like the Trinity, the God, the spiritual. 4 comes with the more earthlier material. So she may have to balance those two in her life as well. And I believe that's why that Palace is there. Because Palace has got to help her do that. That's why they're conjunct. Because they work together. But it's a karmic connection. That's why I said these two would be a soulmate karmic connection. And what happens sometimes, somebody will get with a person and makes them happy. And they'll say, oh, this is my soulmate. This is my twin soul. But sometimes that's not. It might be your soulmate, but your twin soul or your twin flame might have been a person you just couldn't get it together in this life. You all just kept hurting each other and stuff like that. And the fact of a twin soul or twin flame, you can never be separated from yourself. So that's a third dimensional deception. Because I know my twin flame is always popping around. Through numerology, synchronicities, and just all kind of stuff where she makes herself known. But unfortunately, in third dimensional, we couldn't get along. But you can never be separated from your higher self or from you. Alright, so that was the 4th house. Now, this is the one I didn't want to do until the end. The 5th house. Again, Leo energy, which is also her ascendant. Because Leo rules the 5th house. And then you look at his chart where Leo is. And then you see it again. Because that older lady was a Leo. That soulmate he had. And you see Leo right there with the vertex. All about soulmates, twin souls coming out that 8th house. So you can't get past Scorpio. That's why he's going to get the free report. And he's got to really know what's in that 8th house. Because there's a lot of stuff in there. So it's still about fun. But Sagittarius just takes you, well, definitely you're going to probably have blessings there as far as Jupiter money, expansion. But again, Sagittarius is usually always for the longer whatever. But it's still a fun house. Same thing, children, childbearing, having fun, creativity. And could be she's a very psychic person. Whenever you see Sagittarius with Leo or in the 5th house, again, very psychic person. And it could entail not just mental or spiritual traveling, but literal traveling as well. Let's do 18 degrees. The moon card. So once again, you see the universe putting her moon and sun together. And they kind of did the same thing with him with the numerology. Like his moon is 19 degrees, and that's the sun. Now we'll read about Saturn retrograde. Jupiter and Saturn are the two social planets on a natal chart. Now, Saturn retrograde could be a tough taskmaster. Makes you work harder or longer. With Saturn retrograde, take as long as necessary and make sure you do it right the first time. And remember, like I said, Saturn is kind of karmic. And if you know astrology, most of 2018, like especially after the summer, that's what you kept seeing was the Saturn and Capricorn, especially with Leo energy in the 5th house or with Leo. So she was definitely feeling that, especially since her ascendant is Leo. So subconsciously, because we're dealing with the moon, number 18, subconsciously, there might be a push in her that it would be wise if she came to grips with it. Because if not, subconsciously, and whatever subconsciously, it's going to come out in the real world. There's going to be something pushing her. So anybody with a Saturn retrograde may have issues with authority. If they're working on legal matters or contracts, these may be delayed. Deadlines may be extended. She may find herself working on something that she thought she had already completed. Saturn retrograde implies people who in this life may always be in conflict with authority. This person may feel persecuted by any boss or upper management, but they may be abusive as well. See, sometimes when you have that domination inside of you, you can be abusive. Because even if you think about church, it might be somebody that's ahead of the choir or ahead of some type of play, but they are kind of really, it got to be done this way. It better be done that way. Oh, do that, do it. But they're being very abusive. But you say, oh, it's just church. Oh, she's just driven. And it's funny because when you say driven, that goes back to that number 7 with the Pluto retrograde. And that's all about power. Pluto and Scorpio, power struggles, transformation as a result of all this power. Saturn retrograde could also be a person who has trouble setting limitations. So, and that's in the 5th house. So that's like Sagittarius is already saying, hey, let's go for it. And then Saturn retrograde is almost like Uranus. Like, yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, let's go. It's like when you partying and you know you got to be here for work like the next day or something, but you be like, oh, nah, don't worry about it. We having such a good time. But then when it's time to wake up, you be like, oh, you don't want to get up. They say a person with Saturn retrograde may have a problem voicing how they really feel. So then they feel mad because maybe they feel like you should have spoke up. But you might not speak up because you might be being a respectful male and you might say, well, that's not my business. But then she may feel like, well, you're with me, you should have spoke up. Also, Saturn retrograde is a person who may have a problem with patience. So that's one of her karmic lessons, to learn patience, but also not to allow people to bully her, also not to bully other people, and also she has to learn to speak up for herself. So these are all karmic areas she has to be aware of. In a past life, she may have been a prisoner. She may have been enslaved. She may have been the victim of abuse, or she may have been the abuser. She may have been very impatient, looking for an easy way out. She may also have a problem with getting other people to do what she should do herself. You see a lot of parents do that to their kids. They be sending the kid to do everything. They won't get off their lazy ass. They keep sending the child to do everything. So you don't want to do that. Always hold yourself accountable at all times and hold other people accountable at all times. Now let's look at Uranus at 25 degrees. So at 25, number 2 would be analytical, intuitive, diplomatic. 5 would be adventurous. 25 is also sensitivity and sexuality. Uranus retrograde means you have to expect the unexpected. Surprises come out of nowhere. Some of these surprises you might like, but others you won't. Remember that Uranus rules Aquarius, so wherever you see that, and this is most important, wherever you see that, you got to expect surprises. So remember, if Aquarius is anywhere around relationship sector, that could affect you. So wherever you see Uranus on either one of these charts, since they're kind of connected, or Uranus were Aquarius, you have to be careful because surprises can come out of nowhere. So you have to be prepared to deal with it if somebody pops up that is, has some type of relationship with your mate or whatever that might be. So Uranus retrograde can change a person. If a person is normally quiet, they may all of a sudden become real outgoing. Or if they're real outgoing, they may all of a sudden become somewhat quiet. And it was kind of funny because when we were looking at his chart, we were talking about stuff like that, saying how somebody might perceive that as bipolar. But she kind of has that as well. And that's in the 5th house, so you really have to be careful because that's already a house of fun. So you don't want to be extremely either way in that house. Especially when she rules over, her Uranus rules over Aquarius, and that's in a relationship sector. Because that's somebody partying, and they get caught up in a moment, and anything could happen. So with Uranus retrograde, this is the type of person that might live their life to the extreme. They're either going to be extremely extroverted, always outgoing, or extremely introverted. Don't really want to be around a lot of people. But these people don't have no middle ground. So they see things as black or white. They don't know about compromise or gray areas. So they're saying in her past life she may have been a rebel or revolutionary. She was always fighting the establishment, or looking for battles that challenge fairness. And they say it's nothing wrong with fighting for fairness and stuff, but sometimes it can be extreme to the point that they see anything as a slight, or they think they have to stand up against everything when it's really not that bad. So in this life, they have to learn compromise. And they have to learn how to live and let live. And learning the middle ground. All right, give me, I'm just looking this over. So in this life, they have to learn compassion. Putting themselves in someone else's shoes. Seeing the other side of a situation. Allowing people to have their own different point of view. Learn how to respect the gray areas of life. Everything is not always hot or cold. And learn how to appreciate life as a whole with all the pros and cons. Now, why did they put all this drama in the house of fun? It's almost like they're telling her to chill out. And with Sagittarius, it's almost saying, just learn how to go through life like something Paul McCartney said on Ebony and Ivory. There's good and bad in everything. You learn to live, learn to love each other. So that's why it's in the fifth house. Because some people are missionaries and they may go to foreign countries to preach the gospel, or foreign countries to do this, but they're kind of encouraging her to just learn how to just love life wherever you go, and learn how to see good and bad and everything. And instead of seeing things extremely, like right or wrong, don't see life as right or wrong. See life as there's good and bad in everything. How can I be an inspiration? Or how can I help out? And also common sense. You also still have to protect yourself, because the world is not always friendly. But you also don't have to be angry or mad at the world or extreme. So I'm telling you, internally, she's going to have to deal with that. Because of her past life, she's going to have what I call a ruthless aggression. And sometimes with people like that, you won't necessarily see it until some type of pressure is on, or we talked about the moon and stuff like that, because you know women's bodies do respond to the moon and stuff like that, and also there's things like PMX and stuff like that. But a lot of times, these are times when what's really in that person comes out, because a lot of us don't want to deal with our internal stuff, but we have to. Because if you notice on his chart, he didn't have a lot of retrogrades. Maybe with his asteroids he did. But like his planets, he only had Mercury. But when you got to her chart, retrograde, retrograde, retrograde. Now her asteroids, well, Cheris does. So these two kind of complement themselves in a way. So if he's able to man up and deal with the ways of a female and not tap out, he'll be an inspiration to her. And also, if he goes through the process with her, when it's over, if it is over, because it might not be over, but if he goes through the process with her, he'll be more in a position of using his spiritual gifts and more of a teacher. Because the way I see it, according to her chart, the only way she's going to give her due love is if he fits those criteria. Yep. Just look at it. Her vertex is with Capricorn. That's business and career. Her Juno is with Pisces, but that's in the 8th house. And believe it or not, the 8th house also deals with business and your debt and taxes and all kind of shit. Karma. So all kind of stuff in the 8th house. And then her Venus is in the 10th house with career. Taking you to Taurus. Taurus rules the 2nd house with Virgo. Virgo rules the 6th house of the home, and there go Capricorn in the business. So if you ain't really got your shit together, she's not really gonna be inspired by you. You gotta have that. Even if you're just a YouTube teacher, but you gotta have something. Okay, so we are finally done with. Remember, it's 2 charts now. This is part B. Make sure you check out part A or part whatever part. This is part 2. Make sure you check out part 1, fully covered. And remember, get your natal chart done. If you have one, haven't had it updated, get it updated. 2019 is going to be a pivotal year. And remember, I do everything, not just natal charts. We do angel cards. We do research. But anything that what people call paranormal or past life, the world around you, what's going on up in space, what about these orbs I'm seeing, questions you have. Lately, I've been having a lot of people say, hey, do me and my family. So I've been doing that. You'll see them soon. I'm working on them now. But it's anything. I've had people ask me about animals. Anything in the universe comes under as above, so below. Everything, even when people come from different whatever, come through a portal, they still answer to astrology. That's why if you really study these ships, they always flying around the sun or flying around the moon or something. Everybody answers. That's why I said, a lot of people think somehow there ain't no God. There's a God. God is in control of everything, but that don't mean God is going to get involved with everything. Because there's a whole lot of people that know how to, even if you look at what's going on planet Earth, these people have learned how to use technology to know everything. If you say a couple of words on it, as soon as you say a couple of words on YouTube, it's already being recorded. And even Paul Bagley told you that. Like you may say, you know, I need a new lamp. And all of a sudden you start seeing ads about lamps and shit. Because they listening to you. That's a fact. I see that all the time. I know many times my stuff has been manipulated or altered or tracked or followed. So even though those were humans doing it, that's something like only God should know. But that doesn't prove that there is no God. God is just sitting back watching everything. And there's going to be a time when he takes action. But that's kind of like what we believe. What I believe is 2019 is about. So with your natal chart, you get your whole life in order. And you'll be ready for it if you're really awake. And you won't be caught wanting when this big change comes. Even RFG Chosen One has been telling you about it. He used to constantly tell you about this big change that's come. And this is why you see people getting caught up in petty debates. Because negative energy don't want somebody like RFG teaching. He want them going back to the RFG to want to duke it out. You see Sinetta riding around the city with a gun. Why? Why all these people to be out here teaching, all of a sudden they all getting caught up? Because that time is coming to stay focused. This is why you need your natal chart, and then you got to find out what your purpose is and bring your life in harmony with it. This is Get. I'm out.